So welcome everyone, I'm Alexander Mihalcha and today we have one of the industry leaders, Milan Smets, co-founder and COO of Playstack. Welcome Milan, how are you doing today?
Hey, Alexander. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. Thanks. It's a good day for a podcast. So looking forward to it.
Awesome, and I'm excited to have you on the podcast today and I'm sure you're going to be of great value for the audience. Now, before we dive in, could you give us a quick overview of what Playstack does?
Yeah, sure. So in a nutshell, Playstack is a YouTube growth partner. We mainly focus on businesses and help them grow on YouTube to generate revenue, create brand awareness, and basically become like an authority in their niche through that. We of course help any other people as well, but our main focus is B2B businesses.
Okay, interesting. And for example, what inspired you to create Playstack? Was there a specific moment or experience that sparked this journey?
Yeah, my background is in filmmaking and video editing. By now, I've been doing that over 8 years. And I used to have a production company here in Vietnam. So I'm Belgium born, but I've been living in Vietnam for the last 6 years, I would say. Yeah. And so from my end, I had people asking me with help with their videos that they want to post on YouTube. So from a practical standpoint for video production. And then I met my business partner, Mike, who is a very well, like he's doing really well on YouTube. He has a YouTube channel over 1 million subscribers and he has other channels as well. And so he has the strategy side of things. And we kind of came together because he also had demand from people like asking him for strategy advice. And then people came to me for video production. And then together we basically started an agency. And yeah, from that's history. That's 3 years ago now.
Okay, that's fascinating, but I have a curiosity. So, looking back, what would you wish you've done differently in those early days?
In those early days, one of the mistakes that we made was over hiring real quick. Because we are based in Vietnam, hiring people is fairly cheap, let's say, or very cost effective. But also because we had some initial success, we started easily spending money on things that we shouldn't have necessarily. So, and for us, that was um, hiring people in marketing or doing things that basically didn't move the needle for the business so much, but it was more of like, oh, I'm a business owner now. I have a little bit
Yeah.
of a success, and it feels good to have like 15 people or 20 people working for you. But in reality, we only needed half of them. And so we did hire a bunch, but then after a few months, we had to let go of most of them and we had to kind of like reset a little bit.
Okay, interesting. And because you mentioned this, how did meeting your business partner for podcasting led to creating the Playstack?
Um, yeah, so we're both in Vietnam. Originally, we met at a networking event. But at the time, I was doing my own podcast and I was just interviewing people around their full potential, a little bit of like personal development kind of stuff. And there wasn't many viewers back then, but he was one of them. And so when we first met, he knew me, but I didn't know him. And but so that made the conversation easier when we first started.
Okay, interesting. And you mentioned about the million subscriber channel. So, what's been key to scaling from individual content creation to managing that channel?
Um, well, it's not my channel, so I don't have much to say about that. But one of the things was that he was um, he wasn't on YouTube. He started it in 2016, and this is actually part of what we teach as well with YouTube. Is like he found a gap in the market. He found a style of video and a topic of video that performed really well at a time, and then he started creating content on it very consistently, so at least
Okay.
weekly content, and he did that for years on end. And that's probably like that combination of consistency with the gap in the market. So finding that demand worked really well, and that gave his initial growth for sure.
Okay, but for example, how do you balance managing client channels while building your own portfolio channels?
Is there a balance as a business owner? I don't know, especially when you're still in the building phase. Again, so he is currently building a few channels while running the agency. The agency, we have split responsibilities. So I am the operational side, he is the marketing and sales side. And part of building our own portfolio channels means that we can use that as a sales tool. Like, look, we've done it
Yeah.
for ourselves, we have that success. So it's kind of working on the business itself. And of course, we use our own resources from the agency to optimize that. Also, once you've done, and I'm speaking for Mike, thousands of videos, you kind of know what to do and how to do it very efficiently and very time efficiently. Also, AI these days helps a lot with script writing,
Yeah.
and also there's many tools on YouTube that allows you to research those gaps in the market and make those quick decisions. And I mean, one of the things I would say is that, like, what we kind of do as a business but also around YouTube is like, we test quick, see if it works or not, and then move on or double down. So it's not like trying to make it work if there's just no demand for it. But let's say you try a few videos, and I mean, how he manages it, like most of his time is script writing and recording, but he can do that very efficiently because we use often teleprompter. So a 10-minute video can be done within 10 to 15 minutes. But if you do that without a teleprompter, I've done that before without, and that could be quadruple the time, and that also drains you mentally. And then we have an army of video editors, so that's fairly straightforward.
Yeah, of course, of course. And also, could you share how conferences have shaped your business growth and networking opportunities?
Yeah, so networking has always been a massive thing for myself. My whole life, I've been traveling a lot, and then even like I moved to Australia, I met a few people there. I started freelancing as a filmmaker. That's where I first started going to like network events, but also um, personal development events. But then in Vietnam, same thing, network events. And then now as a business, we go to a lot of conferences. So we go to a certain niche, and in this case, it's often SEO conferences. Although we're moving away from that, um, but it just allows you in this digital day and age to still have those one-on-one connections and really build that trust. And that's very often the difference between, because to be fair, we're not the only YouTube agency out there. We might get some better results than others or things like that, but everything is digital. The big difference, I would say, is um, either things go way better once we meet a client in person, or the deal is closed because we meet in person, because you can have those very authentic and genuine conversations, and that's really how you get to know someone, or you get a better feel of someone, right? Like, I can have dozens and dozens of hours online with someone, it's still a big difference, I'd say. And so conferences has been really good. We sponsored a bunch of them. There's in the next 3 months, we have probably 4 or 5 conferences coming up all across Asia. Um, and so that's probably going to be big for us, but it's just, yeah, the sheer amount of people that you meet and that you can meet that are there for a specific reason. And so you're very like-minded going into a conferences often.
Yeah. Okay, okay, interesting. And now walk us through how Playstack addresses these challenges. What makes your approach unique?
Um, yeah, I mentioned a few things. Like, so my background is from the operational side. So I have years and years of experience of managing creatives, creating creative content at scale. And then from Mike, he had a lot of success himself running YouTube channels. And by now, both of us have. Um, but the unique thing is like the tandem we have. I would say Mike and I are very right and then left brained. So I'm very creative. Mike is very analytical. Um, and um, Also the fact that we are positioned in Asia gives us a slight advantage of like being closer to the workforce that we use to fulfill our client needs, and then of course really understanding what the client needs. We're not just getting you more views if that is not what you need. In the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you want to make more money, it's not about the views, but it's about the quality of views. So it's really understanding the client in depth and then creating content accordingly. um, and so we have some success in industry like lawyers, um, some agencies, some SaaS products. It's very versatile. And also there's plenty of strategies around, for example, podcasting as well, that is not necessarily all about the views, but like you and I, we would never had a conversation if we wouldn't have jumped on this call,
Yeah.
right? So um, it's really understanding what the client needs, and then what a viewer is looking for, and then how a viewer can become a customer for our
Yeah.
clients.
Exactly. Exactly. And because you mentioned this, I have a curiosity by then. So, what makes YouTube such a versatile tool for the business growth?
Yeah, that is an easy answer. So YouTube is one of the only evergreen social media platforms. So if you post a video on TikTok, that disappears within maybe minutes or hours. But if you post a YouTube video 10 years ago, it could still be relevant because YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world as well. And even now, so more in the world of I believe that YouTube becomes one of the most um, quoted
Yeah.
platforms for AI summaries and LLM searches and stuff like that. It's just the size of YouTube is insane. What I do like about YouTube, what maybe other people don't recognize, is that it's a lot easier to post a video on Instagram, for example, or if we look at a business perspective, it's a lot easier to write a post on LinkedIn, but to actually make a video on YouTube and make it perform, it's a higher level of entry. And so if you can get to that level of entry, then you're already setting yourself apart from so many other people. Um, and I mean, the power of YouTube is endless, right? Like I said, it's not always about the views. You can use it in your sales cycles. Like you can create a video on how you do something in your business. And then when somebody asks a question about it, you don't have to go and answer it again and again. You have a video ready for that. Um, it's the searchability. It's the evergreenness that is just beautiful.
Yeah, interesting. And how are you seeing businesses leverage YouTube differently for lead generation versus the brand awareness?
Yeah, it's really about the type of content you're creating, and also who you're trying to target and what their consumption behavior is. Um, so the different types of content that is very effective for businesses for direct sales, let's say, or like conversions, is case studies, is success stories, and the how-to videos. Like if I have a certain framework on how to do X, Y, and Z. So, for example, you're a lawyer in the United States about who knows, immigration, and new immigration laws change. If they could be the way you tackle those problems and the way you achieved it for many others, that's like a direct thing. The content that you create around what they call thought leadership is more, I wouldn't say motivational, but it's more higher level and trying to reach a wider audience. um, I would say if you're in an industry that has a lot of updates in trends or whatever, and you're the first one to answer those kind of things and do it well, of
Yeah.
course, then that's first of all very searchable, but also people will start trusting you more because you're like, oh, I don't need to go and look up the news on this topic. I need to go and look up this person because he can elaborate way further on this change, or like whatever that is. If you're in cold email and there's a change in how they handle spam, or if you're a lawyer and there's a law change, or you know what, like any around these things. So yeah, it's like conversion type of content versus sorry, conversion type of content versus thought leadership, and just being out there and helping people out. Yeah.
Okay. And you know, I often find that innovative solutions face the initial skepticism. And what is the biggest misconception when potential clients have about typically what you do?
Yeah, it's not so much about what we do, it's maybe the expectation of the results you can get. If you know anything about SEO, it's probably an easier thing. Like it could take a while. Same with YouTube. It takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out what works and what doesn't. Of course, we can accelerate the success and the results because of our experience, but also our due diligence in research, understanding the audience, and things like that. But usually, you have to look at about 3 to 6 months minimum, and YouTube is honestly a multi-year endeavor
Yeah.
to endorse. So I would always say it's not necessarily how good or how good you can make your videos, but how what's the best you can do consistently. And that could be a weekly video, that could be a monthly video, whatever it is, but you need to find that consistent rhythm. Another misconception is something I touched upon earlier, which is views don't pay the bills. It's the right views and the right people watching your videos, and then them being converted into a lead and a potential sale. That is really what converts. So we can make you go viral and get you hundreds of thousands of views, but if we're not reaching the right audience, then that's worthless. But if we can get you 16 views on a video, but it's six of them that are interested in your services, then we're a winner there.
Okay, but for example, what's your approach to ensuring the client success behind just the subscriber growth?
Yeah, so um, again, it's really focusing on the audience of the channel. So whatever business you have, the channel you have, and it's really understanding what they need. What are their pain points? What keeps them up at night? What are they searching for? How are they consuming content? Perhaps a beautiful example, if you're in the side hustle niche or in the niche of wanting to help people break out of their 9 to 5, what I found, and this is like a little nugget for anyone in that niche, people that want to quit their job, the average commute in the United States, so from people that go from home to work, is about 27 minutes. And what do they do during those 27 minutes? They can listen to the radio, they can listen to an ebook, or they can listen to a podcast. They cannot watch a YouTube video,
Yeah.
right? Because they're in the car. So, what if you make a podcast episode on whatever you do under 30 minutes, under 27 minutes, that people can listen to on their commute? Then they get to know you a lot better. They can listen to your success stories or your frameworks or whatever it is, but it doesn't have to be in that video format because it's, again, really understanding that audience. So, yeah, it's really trying to nail down how you can reach the exact audience you need that will buy into the client services or whatever that's going to be.
Yeah, interesting one. And now, looking at the broader industry, what key trends are you seeing emerge?
Uh, YouTube is so versatile, right? So, I mean, topics on AI always have been big, so you can combine multiple topics if you want to do certain things. YouTube is experimenting a lot with A/B testing, so that means you can test different thumbnails that has been around for about a year or so now, but soon they're also starting to implement A/B testing for titles. So this is interesting because um, and there's so many strategies and tactics around how to do YouTube. Once you've already built an audience, they click on a different type of video than how you would target a new audience. So something that could be potentially effective is that you write a certain title and use a certain thumbnail when you first post your video, because that's when your core audience or your viewers that are returning will watch your video. But then after 24 hours or a week, you change that into something else for that audience that doesn't know you yet, and that
Yeah.
is more either searching for the topic or is just getting recommended the content, but wouldn't understand or wouldn't click if the thumbnail is meant for someone that's already known or knows you, basically. Other trends, I don't know, it's a trend, but something I always say about YouTube is like the higher you can raise the bar, the better. And what that means is not necessarily better production quality, like you don't need a better camera, but that could be better storytelling, better script writing, um, maybe understanding your audience a little bit better, or like there's so many different facets around how you can
Yeah.
approach YouTube. But if you can raise the bar compared to your competitor, then you will stand out. And just think, like, to simplify YouTube in a way, if people are trying to crack the code on the YouTube algorithm, it actually just really means YouTube audience. So, and I've been talking about audience all the time. So the algorithm is your audience. So if you can crack the code on how to find and target them, then you're the winner. And more so, if you can do that better than your competitor, then the audience will prefer your content over someone else's content.
Right. Makes sense. And in your opinion, what advice would you give to businesses looking to leverage YouTube for growth?
Yeah, that's the big question, right? First of all, set your mindset straight. Understand that YouTube will be a long term game with a lot of trial and error. I usually say your first 10 videos, your first 20, 50, maybe 100 videos will not be good and they might not succeed. But you need to do it over and over. And it might take you 2 or 3 years. But for anyone that knows Ali Abdal, he's a very successful YouTuber, about 6.5 million subscribers now. But he always says, if you're consistently posting on YouTube for 2 years, it will change your life. And I totally agree with that. Second thing is understanding your positioning. So this is like six things you need to keep in mind, which some of which I already covered, which is like, uh, are you in a niche that is a gap in the market? What's your advantage of, like, do you have access to an audience that other people don't have? Do you have access to data that other people don't have? Are you in a physical location that is special to you? Like, what is your advantage there? What is your personality? How often can you post videos? How good is your production quality? And so on and so on. So, like, if you know your positioning and how to do that, and then you set your mindset straight, that is a really good start. But then the biggest tip is, again, what is the minimum you can do consistently for a very long time, and do that over and over, and then search what the competition is doing and do it better.
Yeah, okay, great advice though. And before we wrap up, I'm curious about what's on the horizon. So, when you look at the Playstack journey over the next few years, what possibilities excite you the most?
Yeah, very good question. So at Playstack, we have two main offerings, which is our done with you. So we run your YouTube channel. You'll still be the face of the company, or we have a fully done for you, which is usually for enterprises like SaaS tools and stuff like that. That's always been our core offering. Um, but we're now more and more also growing our community, which is really interesting, is because there's multiple, or it's full of business owners that are trying to grow their YouTube channel. So it's another network of people. and that would be one of the big things that we want to grow. We're niching down into certain business types, such as lawyers and things like that. So we're going to hyper focus on that. Doesn't mean we don't want to work with anyone else, but it's just we have really good results around those niches. What's on the horizon? More conferences. I mean, in the next, like, I'm going to China in a week time, then India for another conference, another one in Thailand, and so on and so on. But for Playstack, yeah, maybe in the next few years we can maybe exit or something like that, or who knows? In this day and age, we all start another SaaS business around this, or an AI and something like that. So the future is open, but yeah, very exciting for sure.
Yeah, interesting. And for listeners who want to learn more or potentially work with Playstack, what's the best way to get in touch?
Yeah, honestly, the easiest is either playstack.co, so that's co at the end. That's our website, or you can find me on LinkedIn just for Milan Smets. On the website, you can book a call with us, or on LinkedIn, just feel free to reach out, connect with me. Let me know you came from the podcast. Yeah, that's the best places you can find us.
Perfect. Thanks for joining today, Milan, and for this amazing podcast session. And for anyone listening, make sure to check out Playstack socials below in the description because this episode was packed with the value and I can wait to see what you build next.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alexander.
Yeah, see you in the next episode.